Giving all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Akakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that told me this truth that rule well. Shalom to the elect scattered through the four corners of the earth. My name is Kwadash Payah, and this was a film taken, and it was uploaded on TikTok, and it states, young black men from Harlem, New York, gather out of state to prepare to defend their families against unprecedented circumstances in New York. And we know the situation going on with ICE, with the migrants. People are being deported and won't even enter back into the cities because of these new executive orders Trump is passing. But showing that the laws, the Constitution wasn't for us, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, which are the biblical Israelites. This is also going to cause civil unrest for whatever the case may be. They're going against migrants, ICE, militarily speaking, or even due to the lack of, goods and commodities from the outcome of these different tariffs. Regardless of the matter, this is prophetic. It's prophecy, but what does the scripture speak about it? Well, let's get it. Because you got Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. We're going to start off with that. Because now you got these different funded groups standing up with outfits, walking in groups in the streets with signs, trying to prove a point, which is nothing but order out of chaos. And then you got groups funded, and they know they're Israelites. But that's not the motto. That's not how Yahushua would move. You see? Showing you the difference from the houses. So real quick, let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 19. We can start at 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Because Yahushua is coming back in the chariots, which are the holy angels. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof, which was talking about the latter days, which is now, because this place, Babylon the Great, America, is referred to as what Sodom, spiritually known as Sodom in Egypt, which goes into Mizraim in a form of imprisonment or bondage. It says, and I will set, here's the point, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, the residents, people that reside here, who people call neighbors, right? Civil unrest, civil disorder, And what brings order? Well, the scriptures tell you, wisdom and knowledge shall be what? The stability of thy time. So we're not taking matters into our hands, as others do. It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's written. But what else is written? Well, let's get 2 Corinthians. Chapter 10. Verse number 4. Matter of fact, we could start at verse 3. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Why you think the Lord, Yahushua, stopped Peter when he drew his sword against the Roman centurion? Protect him from the judgment of his own actions. That's why the scriptures say, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. You see? Verse 4 it says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds." And that's going to leave a stain on you, you know? We already know that these elites, through their social media platforms, AI, whatever their technology, is going to try to make those that's actually speaking the truth look bad. So you out there with weapons, you out there with whatever, fucking vests, marching, protesting. That's a bad look. That's not using wisdom, especially in these times we're headed to, that we're in rather, you know? And that could lead younger men to confusion, man. You know? As a matter of fact, let's get the book of Exodus. That's the spirit. Exodus chapter 23. Let's start at number 2. Matter of fact, let's start at 1. It says, "Thou shalt not raise a false report," right? "Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness," right? Here's the point. "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to press judgment." So just because you see a lot of men in a group doing something, that doesn't make it right. Because what does the scripture speak about? How would a wise man move in times of evil? Let's get it. And I hope this is edifying. Straight to the point. Proverbs chapter 22. Verse number 3. It reads, it says, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished," right? So a prudent man, a wise man, sees the evil coming. You watching and praying. You seeing where things are coming. You're not going to put yourself in the midst of that. Because now you look bad, and how would you be justified when Yahushua comes back? You know, especially now, like we're seeing things becoming more intense. You know, wait till, you know, the shelves are empty. Which, Lord willing, I'll do a little lesson on that as well. You know, it's been a lot going on. But, because when, you know, it's a saying where it says, when people don't have nothing to lose, they lose it. Meaning what? They lose their fucking marbles. You want to stockpile, panic buy, get it. None of that's going to save you. Can't save ourselves. You know, only the Lord could do that. You know, that's what it says, our weapons of warfare are not carnal. We know these words went out to the gates of the nobles. These politicians, the Fed, you know, the banking families, they know. You know, you think they don't? You foolish. Right? But just read about the book of Joshua, in the time of Joshua. You know, when they brought down the walls of Jericho. It was spiritual, the way they did it. When you read about it. Blowing the trumpet. We blowing the words. We through these words that we're declaring, it's not going to go out void. It's bringing this captivity down. It's exposing them. It's exposing all the lies of propaganda. So why protest, and why? What are you doing that the Lord, that Yahweh already say that He can't do? You know? Remember, Yahushua's coming back with Michael the archangel. Who is we? The scriptures refer to us as worms. That should humble you. Keep you humble. You know? Because none of us is exempt from judgment. You know what I mean? But we're not moving in a certain way that's going to put a target on our backs. Right? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our time. Isaiah 33:6. You know? So promoting this, and then you all black, you looking like X, Y, and Z. Now they pass an executive order where they could just lock up anybody. Who knows if they just agent provocateurs that know that they're Israelites. Just because you know you're Israelite don't mean you saved. Many are called, few are chosen. You know? So that's why I would tell brothers, man, you know, be on your P's and Q's, be aware. You know, we don't move like that, man. Now some men might use the example when Yahushua flipped the tables with, you know, but for the most part he was peaceful. He escaped certain things. He fled. Even King David fled. You know, from certain situations. Because it shows how much you trust in the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Ba'ashim Akakwadash. You know? So, anyway, like I said, I hope this was edifying. Until next time, I'm going to say shalom.